see, we have on our jerseys.
Tom Brady.
I actually
She's official.
Wait.
She is official now.
Wait.
I got her on some Texas gear.
Oh.
And it does say Watson.
This
So
is called
cute.
compromise.
So cute. But she has an official
Yeah.
Texas team now.
But I want to be honest with you because, I mean, granted, I'm going to bring up compromise again. And if you didn't see episode 1 of Rules of Compromise, you definitely should go back and watch that episode. But I'm really a Ravens fan, Baltimore Ravens to be exact. Like, and no matter where I live, that will always be my team. So for anybody that's watching this from back home, I need you to know that I am still loyal to the Ravens. Okay, but I have compromised today.
I mean, they almost had that one time where they almost won. Remember?
First of all, don't play us because we've won the Super Bowl at least twice.
I mean, Cowboys have done some stuff back in the past. but,
Okay,
I mean,
I love how we want to talk about what
But
the Cowboys have done
I'm
in the
not-
past.
well,
But the reason why I bring this up is because in this episode, clearly Valentine's Day is right around the
the
corner.
month of
Love. And, you know, not to brag on you a little bit, but so ever since February started, Brandon has been doing this thing, which is super sweet.
Go ahead, Brad. Just a
Okay,
little bit.
so literally Brandon has given me a gift like every day in February. He comes in with some form of surprise, whether it's flowers, chocolates, teddy bear, cards, candles, snacks. Like, he's just really been making this month like just extra special.
Because this is how I see it. And I also do that outside of February. I randomly
That's
do
true.
just
Yeah.
pop in with flowers or whatever. But I don't like the whole idea of Valentine's Day has to be on the 14th of February.
Right.
And we go all out.
Right.
On the 14th. I feel like every day is a Valentine's Day. I should show you love the same way I would do it on February 14th.
Oh, I appreciate that. Come on, y'all. Come on, showing love every single day and not just on one specific holiday.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, this episode I am calling Teamwork Makes the Dream Work. Are you excited about this?
I'm so excited.
So look, right, I really wanted to not just play off of the theme of the Super Bowl and, you know, football season, and then you go ahead and you bring in Valentine's Day weekend.
It's a lot of team action.
It's a lot of team action going on.
There's
And
no I in team.
It's not.
No, there's a me.
And then there's a me.
And if there's a me and a me, that makes a team.
I was gonna say us, but
They're on us.
that's true. It makes a
Well,
team.
yeah, teamwork.
So what I really want to talk about today is really identifying that the dreams, the visions, all of the things the goals that we have set forth as individuals, I've come to the conclusion that none of the things that I've been able to achieve and probably will achieve in the future will I do without making sure that I'm able to be a part of a team. And this team right here. Do you like that?
I did
I have
like
like a little.
I did like
I
that.
have great sound effects sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, she does.
Media. You know. So I really wanted to talk about how being a part of a team ultimately gets you to the dreams that you've been setting forth. But as promised, I want to keep with the word. So
What's the word?
So this word was laid on my heart. It is Philippians 2 verses 1 through 4. Go with me.
I'm going.
All right. Therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and of one mind. Do nothing out of the selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of the others. Philippians 2, 1 through 4, and that is the
Whole word.
NIV version.
Yeah.
So this word was kind of like brought up to me, and we're going to break it down a little bit, some parts, and I really wanted to touch on what it meant to me. You know, in this season, I really wanted to make sure that we really started unpackaging word, and we started doing it as a unit. When I think about us doing things as a unit, it really just brings more into the encompass of us being a solid team. And I really think about when it comes to relationships and building, that we want to make sure that it's what God intended for it to be. I want my vision to be God's intention. I want my plans to match what it is that He's already planned out for me. And in order to do that, I have to make sure that I'm coming back to the Word. I have to make sure that I'm being led by His Word. So one of the scriptures that I read, I want to just reread it back for you again, because I thought that it just was like, come on. So if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being in one spirit and of one mind. When you hear that, what comes to you?
Several things. So obviously, being in the same spirit and in one mind, meaning like being in one accord. We talked about that, right? So I always think of, I go back to musical. So like it's a choir, right? So within a choir, you don't just hear one voice, you hear the choir as a whole, right? You hear the different parts spread out into tenor parts. You hear all the separations, but there could be multiple tenors, multiple sopranos. But when you're hearing a full choir, it's all one beautiful sound. It's all like-minded. It's all the same spirit in that sound. Same thing with the team. You can have a team and have two different people with two different spirits, but still the same mindset, right? The same mind of, this is our goal is to win. They can win. So you set aside differences from one
Common goal
to achieve that. So when you're talking about a partnership, because I feel like partnership is different than being a teammate, you're partnering hand in hand with someone. You need to have like-minded, you need to be like-minded, you need to have the same spirit, you need to have the same goals, same direction, to be able to say, okay, I'm going to partner with you to achieve this.
That's really good, because I think that what you just kind of like broke down for me, which I never even thought about before, that there's a difference in you becoming I don't want to say cohesive, that isn't the right word, but becoming a partner and joining with someone to, let's do life together, let's partner in this, versus you're actually a part of a big body, which is a team that has a similar goal. Right? When it comes to being a partner of something, then there's certain stipulations and criteria that we should have when moving forward.
We should.
Before we can join.
We should.
I like this because I think that a lot of mistakes and errors that I've made in the past, and partnering with people that were not like-minded, and we did not possess the same spirit, we weren't spirit-led in the same way, I think that it caused a lot of either distance, contention, divisiveness, even maybe some manipulation. And I don't really know if I knew that going in, because I thought about, like, well, as long as we have the same goal, then we should be able to get to the end together.
Right.
But that's not always the case.
No.
Okay. So I really want to talk about a conversation that we have a lot in regards to friend groups.
We have it a lot.
I think this is really good for us, because I think that my friend groups have changed over the years. And I definitely think that my friend groups have changed probably in the last 2 to 3 years.
Mine have also changed.
I think that friend groups have changed in the last year due to COVID. Okay,
Mine have also changed.
Like, what type of friend groups and meetings and get-togethers are you actually having during a pandemic? I think it really showed you what you value, whom you value, and what happens when you take the gathering out of the equation. Is there still a desire to spend time on the phone? Is there still time to deposit into one another? Do you still care about what the other person has going on if there isn't something tangible that you're not getting out of it, right? So I want to bring up friend groups because I think that this is something that I've seen a lot online that people have been talking about, and that is that COVID has really exposed and pulled back the layer on good friends, or I shouldn't even say good friends, but authentic, real ones.
Yeah. I was reading the scripture again because it's a big part of being like-minded but having the same love, being one in spirit and one in mind, which we talked about. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. So even with the friend groups, like, I think when you evaluate your circles of friends, number one, are you like-minded with them as a whole, or is it just one area of your life where it's like, well, this is an outlet, right?
Yeah.
Like, these are my outlet friends, but you have nothing in common with them except that one outlet, like nothing else. Like, lifestyle-wise, lifestyle choices, you don't have anything in common with them, but you have to partner with the ones that are like-minded, the same in spirit, and you start to view yourself as humility, as being humble, right? And valuing others more. I mean, that's what the Bible's saying right here, is do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility, value others above yourself.
Yeah.
So big with being in a relationship too.
Yeah.
Like, it can never be about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's very hard for people. That's what the biggest hurdles are.
5%.
I talk about this all the time. The number one thing of everything,
Yes.
of every downfall,
Talk about
for everything,
Is what?
is selfishness.
Yes.
It is. It's selfishness. It's, I need this, I'm not getting this, I would like, well, I don't like, well, I feel like if you did, everything is pointing the finger the other way, and it's because of I, me. No, Jesus could have said that the entire time he was on earth.
Absolutely.
He never did. It was always about others. It was always about, how are we thinking about the poor, the needy, the widow? How are we empowering people? How are we discipling people? Hey, let me teach you to love people. It's the thing with the relationship. It's the same thing. You got to be, number one, like-minded. Number two, same in spirit. Number three, having the same love for one another and for God.
Oh, that's good.
Having the same love, and then do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit.
You know, a transparency moment, I think that I definitely went through a period to where, and this, I don't want to just stereotype it and say that it's just girls or women that do this, because I know, there are guys that do this as well, but there are sometimes groups of people to where the only time that they usually will call you, ring your phone, want to connect is to gossip about someone else. That the majority of the conversation is about them gossiping or sharing information about another individual, but it's usually not in the best light. Like, that there's nothing else of value coming out of the conversation other than what some may say is juice. I got the juice.
Or the tea.
Or the tea. Or the tea.
I have a very close friend of mine that we will call each other, not have an agenda or not needing anything. and literally say, man, I'm just calling to check on you. I don't need anything. Like, because that's healthy friendship. You know, like, it's okay if you want to talk about people in a healthy way.
Well, this
but
is
not gossip.
Well, this is where I was going with it. I think that one of the things that I noticed when you talk about teamwork and dream and things like that, I think that when it really comes to where you want to invest your time and energy in this season, you want to invest your mind, your heart, your spirit, your soul in things of the Lord. So when you start taking inventory, and I talked about this on the last episode, when you start taking inventory of where you want your mouth to be rested upon and where you want your counsel to go, usually you have to really ask yourself, is it going to a higher place? That the same words that you use to pray for things, to repent for things, are you carrying that same intention and mission when you answer that call, when you have that girl time, when you have that guy time? Are you really talking about dreams and vision of which the Lord has given, not just you, but maybe the other person? Sometimes I even catch myself to where when someone calls to check in, that I'm not just talking about all the things that I have going on. Oh man, I have this going on, but I actually start asking them, so what do you have going on, or what's going on with you? Because sometimes what I recognize, sometimes people just call to find out what it is you're doing.
Because there's nothing that they're doing.
Right.
So they want to check on, hey, what's up? What are you doing?
Now, sometimes it's not a bad thing if your mission and intention motivates someone else to do something. Right. Not just to be nosy, but there has to be some type of action followed up with the inquiring about someone else's life. Yeah. Right? And we have to be very mindful to really be like, listen, if I'm on the same team as you, and I'm guessing that's the reason why you have access to me and I have access to you, right? If you're sent of the Lord, then I have to assume that we have a similar goal.
Or we're going to have to trade you. You know, like in basketball.
Wow. He would bring this back to sports right now.
Like in basketball.
Or we're going to have to trade you.
Or we're demanding a trade.
Or bench you. Sit on the bench.
Nobody wants that. Also,
who wants to be benched in a season in which the season in which you're benched is the season in which the team goes to the Super Bowl? Who wants to be benched in the season?
Because you weren't ready. Because you weren't conditioned. Because you were taking the off season to not get ready. You were taking the off season to be off. There's so many star players. Mm-hmm. The list can go on and on. Mm-hmm. Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, like all the greats of the greats. On their off season, they were going harder than when they were in their season. Mm-hmm. They were playing pickup games. They were in the gym because the drive and the passion of the goal was the most important thing. Mm-hmm. They were conditioning themselves.
Right.
And then in return, making their team that was around them want more, to do better, to be better, to get conditioned, to match their hunger and their drive. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if you don't got people around you to do that, you got to be the one to do it. Mm-hmm. And it'll flip. The switch will flip. Trust me, it'll flip.
This is something that when I was working in corporate, and this person, you know, wasn't a pastor or a preacher, and I don't even know if he was a believer, right? But he said something to me one day, and it resonated with me, and I carried it with me, like as I was, you know, figuring out my next steps and moving up with corporate. Because the thing about when you're working for major companies and you're putting in years, you start getting excited when you start not only seeing the benefits and the fruit of your labor, which usually comes in salary packages, 401ks, you know, company cars. You start seeing these things. So that usually gets people to sign up for another year, another 2 years. And there were times where I would be in the room and I would just be like, why am I here? It had nothing to do with the money I was being paid, the benefits that I was being offered. I mean, people probably would have changed places with me in a heartbeat. But one day my boss said to me, if you're the smartest person in the room, usually you're in the wrong room. And I just kind of like looked at him, because in my mind I'm like, is he saying that, you know, I'm in the wrong room? Is he saying that, you know, like, where was he going with this? So after he said this, I kind of like started taking inventory when I would walk into rooms, and I would feel as though like, oh my goodness, like, what is it that I was missing? And what I was missing is that I wasn't being challenged. What I was missing is that I was able to show up operating on 50% because everybody else was operating on 35. So I still felt like I was exceeding and doing great things because their high wasn't even my middle. This isn't shady. This is really sitting back and asking yourself the question, is the circle and the people around you, is your current team challenging you to be the best version of yourself? Is your current circle challenging you to draw closer to the Lord? Is your current circle challenging you to go to higher heights and to really start getting even more disciplined and more organized and really just speaking life into you to the point to where you don't even feel comfortable showing up at 75%?
Or is your circle or your team telling you to retire prematurely?
Okay, unpackage that a little bit more, because I think people need to understand what you mean by that.
So it's like, you know, if you're struggling, you've been struggling for years to reach, you know, your goal, to reach what, you know, to get your business launched, to get your brand launched, whatever, you know, whatever it is that you're working with, to get your music out, to get your book written, you know, and you've struggled with this for so many years to where you're feeling like, okay, well, my prime is over. I've missed my prime. I missed the time. And your friends around you are telling you like, yeah, you probably need to try something else. Yeah, you need to, you know, to get you to sit down, to get you to retire. But yeah, you still have that nugget. You still have that like, man, I need to get it done. Because you do need to get it done. Because it's you need to get the right people around you, the right team around you to get the goal accomplished. So people are trying to get you to retire and you haven't even got started.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because I want to, for people that are watching that are trying to figure out like, okay, how do I even decipher if I have a great team around me to get to my dreams? Like, how can I really sit up there and say like, I know for sure that these people got sent into my life and I'm supposed to not only partner with them, but I'm supposed to go to the Super Bowl, if you will, with them. So what are 3 things that you either look for or you would encourage someone else to look for when it comes to picking solid teammates?
Well, what's their wins? How many wins have they had? How many losses have they had?
Okay.
What were those losses?
Ooh.
How big were those games that they lost?
Okay.
How big were those contracts that they lost? How big were those contracts that they got and won? Now, of course,
so you're talking about experience in a resume.
I'm talking about experience in a resume, but
Okay.
I'm also talking from an experience of my own of learning this.
Okay.
Before, what I would look for was different 5 years ago.
Okay.
4 years ago.
Okay.
7 years ago.
Okay.
So now it's, what have you done and what are you doing? Not, oh, I was working with somebody, I was working with this name. No, I need to know who you really worked with.
He's talking professionally.
Talking professionally.
Okay.
I need to know who you're really working with and who you're currently working with. That's number 1. Number 2, what are your personal life goals? Not just professional life goals. What are your personal life goals? You know, what are you working on yourself? Like if you struggle with anxiety, how are you working through that? If you struggle with anger problems, how are you working through that? If you're a disorganized person, how are you working through that? You know, personally, where are we going?
Yeah.
How are we getting better?
Yeah.
How are we getting to the best version of ourselves?
I like that. And okay, and the last one?
your relationship with the Lord? Like, where's that at? And this is for me to partner with.
Right.
This is for me to, have as a partnership, not just a working relationship. You could be incredible at movie scripts and, incredible at producing or whatever it is that you're at, and you don't know the Lord, but you're good at what you do. I mean, I'm gonna pay you for your services. That's your job. That's what you do.
Yeah.
So that third thing, though, for me to partner with you, for me to link arms and be like, all right, let's build something.
Right.
Where's your walk with the Lord? Are you still on milk, or are you on meat and potatoes of the Word? Do you know God, or do you know of God?
Yeah.
I need to know that.
Ooh. Do you know God, or do you know of God?
And are we still talking about the same conversations that we were having 4 years ago? Like, at some point, I'm loyal. I am loyal through and through. And it's so funny because as a fan,
Yeah.
I am the biggest bandwagon fan ever. Like, whoever's winning, I'm going to be the fan of. Right? But
At least he's honest about that.
yeah, like, I'm wearing a Brady jersey. Well, he's a GOAT, though. I mean,
True.
he's definitely
True.
GOAT. So,
His resume speaks for itself.
right. So I'm gonna rock Bucks jersey all the way. I love the Cowboys because Texas through and through.
Okay.
But I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna rep their gear because they're whack.
Okay, we're not gonna try. Oh, so let me go through my three. Okay, so when it comes to teamwork, when it comes to picking, and I think that the difference with me is that because I've lived so many different places, I've had to acquire different friends in every city I went in. So this has made it pretty challenging for me, not to make the friends, but to keep the friends. So I've known in my older age, I become a little bit more reluctant to immediately yoke arms with people, because I understand that sometimes when I have to separate physically, it not only can rub the person the wrong way, but sometimes it can be pretty emotionally taxing on them. So my first thing that I look for is, do they have their own vision, or are they looking to imitate mine? I say this because sometimes when you are a motivator, when you are an inspirer, you can notice that people will start mimicking what it is that you do. Not really an issue, but it's really important to know, do people have their own individual plans and visions that God has given them that they're sure on? One of the things that I really love is when I go into people's rooms and conversations or in their lives, and they're talking about things that God is like working with them on, or maybe plans that they have out for the year, like their calendar is set up. You can tell that they really spent time ironing this thing out. They're not really looking to take what it is that I have or figure out how to manipulate what I have to fit their thing. They're really looking at me like, regardless if you're a part of my life or not, I would still be great. That attracts me to be like, sign me up. Because I know that your greatness isn't reliant or dependent on if I'm in your life or not, that you are completely and totally reliant and confident on what God has spoken to you, told to you. You are someone not only I would not want on my team, but you're someone that I would really look for as a mentor in my life, right? So that's one thing that they've been able to successfully point out.
That's a big number one thing.
That's huge for me.
Yeah.
Huge for me.
Number two. What's your number two?
Number two is the ability to discern and make great decisions.
Okay.
Now, the reason why that's really big for me is because I think that I've always taken on the role, sometimes even unintentionally, as the inspirational friend, as a personal pastor, which I am currently not, right? That I've taken on this role in certain relationships because the other people may have issues making good decisions on their own. And I notice sometimes to where they may look to rely on my spiritual walk and my faith to get them through to make step-by-step moves. No, I think that there is something that's really good as far as that you inspire people to want to be closer and better and draw closer to Christ. I think that as disciples that we're supposed to do that, because I know there's people that have been in my life and that are in my life, even speaking of you, that inspire me to go deeper and to deepen my relationship with the Lord and to make better decisions. But I also think that there is something to where that you have to be willing and able. Willingness number one, because sometimes I come across people that are very able to do things. They're very able to make great decisions. They're very able to attract the right people, but they're not willing to put in the work. They're not willing to put certain stuff aside to really walk into what God has called them to do. So I really pay attention to discernment and the ability to really make great decisions. And then lastly, it's something that's this is probably very small. I guess the other two were very big, but this is something that's very small, but it's huge for me. And I usually don't tell people this with them, but usually I pay attention to where my spirit and my soul feel at peace. Like where I feel like I can be myself the most. To where if I am lounging around and just, cracking jokes and not being overly extra, right, to put on, that I'm still embraced the same. If I have my dry erase board and I'm talking all business and stuff like that, that it's not intimidating, it doesn't need to be teased, but it's just embraced. Like where I can truly be myself and feel like it's home and comfortable, usually I'm gonna draw closer to be on a team, because I'm like, just that peaceful place that I can find in that type of team or partnership would allow me to be great, because it allows me to be me in all facets. So those are my 30.
Those were hefty.
Weren't they?
They were hefty. I hope you got something out of that.
Were you dozing off as I was?
No, when actually you're talking, I start thinking about how I can intertwine the things of what you're saying.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's
Did you
my
have any
ADD that comes
intertwinage
in.
going on?
No, not on this one.
No?
No, I didn't have any intertwinage.
Really?
going on.
But I had a lot.
That was for them. No, but I think too, being a team player,
Mm-hmm.
right? Teamwork makes the dream work. I think every time we talk about a team, it's like I always go to sports. I love watching documentaries of sports. And when they did a documentary of the Dream Team, which had all these star players for the Olympics, I forget which year it was, but it had David Robinson on it. It had Karl Malone. It had Michael Jordan. It had Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. All of the greats were on this one team. Mm-hmm. And I remember that they said, and watching that the first scrimmage, they lost to a bunch of, I think, high school players or university players. All these NBA stars lost to this team because everybody wanted to be the star player. That's what they're used to. Everybody wanted the ball time. They wanted to hold on and control the game. But they quickly realized that they all needed to present what they were good at as a team to win, right? Mm-hmm. And so, it's like that for a lot of different things. You will have your star moment because your profession, what you're good at. If you polish your craft, you're going to be great. You're going to have greatness on you. That's just, when you're greatness, that's what happens, right? But when you come in contact with people that, man, we can make a good team, it's because what I have to offer is different than what you have to offer, but together the product is incredible.
That's really good.
So
I think that's why you and I work so well.
Yeah, your gift sets are completely different than mine, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But our common goal is, our foundation is the Lord. And then on top of that, we love each other's personalities. We have fun, we laugh, we joke,
Yeah.
We laugh a ton
Yeah.
till our sides hurt.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah, and so and honestly, those are people that I like around me too. It's just like
Yeah, fun loving.
you can't be a stick in the mud.
Yeah.
Even doing business, like I need you to have some form of like give me something, you know, and that's just how, you know, how I see teamwork.
So when you're going into a Valentine's Day weekend,
Tell someone you love
and
them.
tell someone that you love them.
Hug a neck.
And also, if
Give
it's
a
not
high five.
even like a romantic connection that you have, maybe you're not in a romantic relationship at all.
Maybe it's completely platonic.
Maybe it's completely platonic, but this is a good time to really start asking your partner, your partners, your team, like
Right.
what type of dreams, visions are we working towards
Yeah.
as a group, as a unit, as friends? Like, how can I be there for you in the best way?
Yeah.
And be honest about how they can be there for you. Like, you know, I don't know who said it, that closed mouths don't get fed, but sometimes your other
Open your
person,
mouth.
open your mouth and say what you need and when you need it, you know?
And give God praise. Open your mouth and give God praise.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so before we conclude this episode, I also have an announcement because it's Valentine's Day weekend.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And Brandon has really inspired me with gift giving, right? So I definitely wanted to make sure that I did my part to be able to spread some love. Yes, we shouted you out for the gift giving. So, so I don't know if you can see over here that I
Over the
have
corner, right
my Essential Signature Candle Collection available, and I'm going to be offering an amazing, amazing deal to every single subscriber of this channel when to agree, as well as in partnership with a review of the podcast. So what do you have to do? You have to make sure that you subscribe to this channel. You also need to make sure that you head over and that you rate and write a review for SHMG Podcast, and you need to make sure that you screenshot it and tag at SHMG Pod in that so that I can send you your personalized code. I'm offering free shipping on all orders as well as buy 3 get 1 free. And just in case you need to be inspired.
Oh, she's gonna get him.
Okay.
There's Fireside,
Come on.
Grace,
Yep. Cocoa butter.
Cocoa Butter.
Come on, get your life. Get your life. Come on. Buy 3, get
Smell
1
like
free.
snack.
As well as, I know, right?
Yes.
It's so good. Free shipping. I mean, you can't beat this deal. So that's why I definitely want you to make sure that you head over to casekeys.biz/SHMG. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, as well as head over and rate us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, screenshot it, tag us in it,
Yes.
and I'm gonna send a code over to you. And this deal is gonna last all weekend, from today all the way through Monday. So, I think that about sums it up. We got gifts and things.
Lord is a gift.
Always.
You're my gift.
He just wants to end it sweet like
How it goes.
But thank you so much for tuning in
Follow.
to this episode. Yeah.
Follow
Who?
at I am Brandon Watson at Case Keys at SHMG Pod. And we will see you on the next episode of When Two Are in Agreement.
Agreement.
Go be mighty.
Go be mighty.
Go be strong.
Love you much.
Go love the Lord. Go in the love of the Lord.
I'm saying.
Deuteronomy says
Oh,
you're blessed coming in and you're blessed going out. So get on out of here and be blessed.
you know, we're working on them.